Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know exactly what the hell is going on with our guy Elon. I don't know if this is drug-induced psychosis. I don't know if this is activities on the spectrum. I don't know. But what I do know is that I voted for DJT. And the reason I voted for DJT, in spite of what my quote unquote culture was telling me, or my quote unquote community was essentially promoting and pushing me to do, the reason why I was a part of that 19% of black men who voted for Trump is because I was willing to think for myself. Now, contrary to most propaganda, DJT is the worst thing that happened to American democracy, whatever the hell that means, right? They've called him the little mustache man, a fascist. They've called him a racist, sexist, homophobe, this, that, and the third. You name it, they have put that title upon him. They have looked to incarcerate the man multitudes of times, looked to give him 700 years in total in prison time. They have looked to destroy him in every single way possible. Oh, and on top of that, they literally looked to take his life, actually, physically. And he was millimeters away from losing his life on that stage on July 13, 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. But beyond all that, in the year 2016, when the propaganda machine was really pushing, making a true concerted effort to destroy the reputation of an individual they once beloved and used to promote, in spite of all that, I was in this awakening period of my life where I started to research a little deeper. I was coming out of an addiction out of my teenage years. I was distancing myself from those things that did not serve me and stepping into, the truest, I guess, fulfillment of who I was to be. And a part of that was just to think for myself. And so now that we've gotten to the place that we are, I believe that part of my purpose on this earth is to have us do exactly that. So recently, Elon has come out and made a statement, which he probably will retract at some point, that, here's a bombshell. DJT is on, Jeffrey and the Islands list. DJT is on Epstein's list. That's essentially the statement that was made. Now, this point has been made time and time again by a multitude of YouTubers, and I am going to show a clip that explains the actual relationship, not just based on Trump himself, not based on Elon, but instead based on Epstein and the people connected to him, to say what was the actual relationship that Trump had with Epstein, because that was one of the narratives they tried to push in order to actually hide the true affiliations, such as, the Clintons and the Gates and things of that nature. So again, my loyalty is because for 8 to 10 years, I have been willing to think for myself, just like many of y'all. Though I was afraid to articulate it for many of those years, I still stood strong in my conviction because I was willing to see the truth of who this man was as opposed to the propaganda that was being pushed. So without further ado, let us introduce this clip right here. And again, take it as you will. You don't have to take my word for it, anybody else's word for it. You can do your own research, as I would hope you do for everything.
Now, one best-selling crime writer is also turning heads with a new book that reveals the Mar-a-Lago owner actually kicked out South Florida financier Jeffrey Epstein. The incident allegedly took place at Mar-a-Lago back in 1999. One chapter in the book, Filthy Rich, details how Epstein was a regular at the club, but that all ended when a member's young daughter complained to her wealthy father. While relaxing at Mar-a-Lago, she had been approached and invited out to Epstein's house. The girl said that she had gone and that Epstein had tried to get her to undress. The girl's father had gone directly to Trump, who, in no uncertain terms, told Epstein that he was barred from Mar-a-Lago. That's all in Chapter 33 of the book. Epstein later served just 13 months in county jail after pleading guilty to procuring minors for prostitution, and the reasons are a large part of that book.
Interesting. Some could say that Trump was coming to the defense of a young girl. Others might say he was trying to save his revenue and keep a wealthy member or customer happy. Either way, the story goes, Donald Trump kicked a predator out of the Mar-a-Lago club there.
Something you don't hear. It's something nice that you don't always hear on these entertainment.
Yeah, of course not. It's something you don't hear because they are propagandists looking to push an establishment message. They hate DJT because they hate us. And who is us? Those of us who are willing to think for ourselves. Those of us who actually believe in this thing called America, right? We believe in economic freedom as well as political freedom. We do. We're not into the communism, not into the socialism, into the actual dictatorships. Because, for all these idiots out here who talk about, oh, we live in a dictatorship, we live in a dictatorship. I saw a video on TikTok where a guy was talking about how this video had 3.1 million likes. Happened to be a black guy. And he was talking about how we are in a dictatorship. The reason why they don't talk about a dictatorship coming is because we are in a dictatorship. If you believed you were truly in a dictatorship, you would take the first ticket south, north, east, west. You would get the hell up out of town immediately if you believe that. Every person that has come up out of a dictator regime and made their way to the United States with a story to tell, they got a story to tell. But the difference is they made it here. And unfortunately, multitudes of them don't. But you're sitting on your ass. You're on your TikTok. You just made your Klarna order or your DoorDash order through Klarna. You got a payment installments for your damn burrito. Seeing your fat behind on the damn couch. Picking at your belly button. Talking about we are in a fascist regime. You get to talk trash about your president every single day. And there are no consequences. I come from a country, Zimbabwe, where if you talked just sideways and anybody had any level of access to the president or his people and they snitched on you, that black truck is coming. Best believe the black truck is coming. If you were to speak out openly in the way that I'm doing right now against that regime, blacklisted. You're never coming back to the country again. How do I know this? Because I got people in my own family who that's the exact case. People who otherwise will be powerful business people who can't even go back to their own country because they've been blackballed. So I don't want to hear all that type of nonsense, but I felt the need to create this video. I tend to not do so much politics per se in my content, though it is an interest for me. I always like to tie things back to the human aspect, the sociological aspect, the psychological aspect, bring it back to the individual. But I had to make my stance known. I stand with DJT. The man is vetted. Again, I have not yet met him in person, but everything that I have seen throughout time, I have gone through the crates as far as old interviews to where he is now. That's why with the tariffs, I felt no type of way. I wasn't afraid of tariffs. This man has been talking about tariffs since the 80s, early 80s. And this man has been vouched for to be president by the likes of Oprah Winfrey back in the 90s and Hillary Clinton back in the 90s, the very same people who now look to destroy him because they never actually believed he would, let alone do it outside of the establishment. They hate him because they hate us. They hate anything that does not keep them in that place of perceived power. That's what this is about. So when we look at a guy like Elon, unfortunately, the dude is crashing out. And again, I can point to many reasons as to what might be going on. I believe it is more personal than anything else. I believe that he's got either psychological issues based off of just, quote unquote, genetics as well as other external triggers, or the man is on dope or something's going on, right? Something is going on. But one thing I'm not going to buy into is this narrative that, DJT he's on that list and he's on there. Do you know how many people are on a damn list? I don't want a list. I want the client list. I want the client list. I want who is procuring and purchasing. That's who I want. I want the bills. You know the bills I'm talking about. I want them. If DJT was on that list, it would have been the only point they ran on 2016, 2020, 2024. If it was real, the Democratic plantation would have already pushed that. I'm talking about into every nook and cranny of society, but they haven't. And they're still the ones, essentially the establishment is holding back those files, is holding back the rest of the thousands of pieces of information and the videos, etc., because they know that their entire system would implode overnight. I believe the shit would be over immediately. Excuse my French. I'm trying to clean up the language a little bit over here so it can be a family-friendly show, including my own family, my folks. Like to keep the illusion that I never curse, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm in a place where actions speak loudest for me. And when there's a man who is willing to die on the behalf of my freedoms, because that's what he did on that stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. He could have called it quit. He could have called it quits a long time ago when the machine was going after him the way that it did. He came back 2020, and after they cheated him out that one, he came back 2024. He didn't have to do any of that. He could have just said, to hell with this system. To hell with. I'm out in Mar-a-Lago. I'm out in the pastures. We're golfing every day. I'm out here with my wife, my beautiful kids, my beautiful grandkids. We're out here. We're chilling. That could have been his life, just like a lot of folks do and would do in that situation. How many people would continue to fight? You tell me honestly, how many? I believe I would, but I don't know because I haven't been in the shoes. Hopefully I don't get the opportunity to show that and be in that type of situation, but how many would? I believe him, because he's the one who has shown us exactly that. Elon, I believe, genuinely wants to help people. At some extent, he wants to help. He got to calm down. He got to chill out for his own good, because crashing out is helpful to nobody. He's got to chill out. I will never take away from his success. I'll never take away from what he's built, etc. He's got to chill the hell out. DJT is not a perfect man, but he's a perfect man for the job. Simple. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.